Sorry about that. We got a deaf Jay Adams in the room now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show with Mike and T-Roy on a rare Saturday broadcast. But we got a couple buddies in town. Well, Jay lives here, but J. Chris Newberg is here. Jay Adams is here. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Oh, my gosh. I can't hear as well anymore. But
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem.
You know, it's bullshit because Chris and I have access to our headphone jack so we can control our volume. The way this studio was designed, the mics down here don't, and so Troy controls them. So whoever was sitting there, probably Jimmy Bones from Twisted Brown Trucker, was the last one. He was probably a little more deaf than you from stadium tours all over the world for 30 years.
Well, I got I got your theme music just blared into my mind. Now I'm
just
good.
Blew your headset out. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Our bad. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Yeah, good to see you, pal.
Nice to see you. Good to see y'all.
I can't believe how good you look, Chris.
I can't see at the moment. There's no
handsome.
You
No,
got
you don't
up
get
there.
monitor.
You turn around.
Oh, yeah. I look like me.
Yeah. I mean, you look homeless, but you look like a very thin homeless man.
Now, see what I said with that beard? I said he looks like the dad from Teen Wolf when he turns.
Let me see when you turn. Are you talking about
when the dad turns into a werewolf?
So is this Teen Wolf 1 or 2?
One,
is this
the original.
The original.
There is only one Teen Wolf, dude.
Exactly.
Let's be real clear about this.
I watched Teen Wolf 2 not that long ago. Jason Bateman is 2.
Yeah.
Jason
Either that or Randy Quaid.
Yeah.
Randy yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Someone posted, I posted video of you and Michelle doing karaoke the other night. We had a blast, and someone, my old morning show partner, actually, Dave the Beagle, grossed out in Lansing, was like, yeah, it was really cool when that hot chick kissed Santa and then started singing back up. So I was like, yeah, that fits.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I'll Santa the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
It's like that's the thing. It's like there's very few roles for white dudes in Hollywood who are over 30.
Yeah.
Unless you have some sort of unique look or like, something. And then like me, having my I don't give a fuck beard is like more noticeable than me not having it.
Yeah, but Jack Black's doing it.
It's
remarkable how much you look like Jack Black in certain pictures.
There's
with the bucket hat and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, he's a little larger than I in life and persona and like
Now.
Yeah, but no, I'm just saying I don't mind a comparison.
Yeah. How have the shows going? You're at Ridley's this weekend. You got, what do you have, 2 shows tonight?
Yeah.
A 7:30 and a 9:30 or something like
7 and 9:30.
that? 7 and 9:30. So anyone listening live right now, if you want to come out, I'm assuming there's still a couple tickets left.
Yeah, just 2.
Okay. Well, we're going
2.
we're going to the 9:30.
The second show,
Yeah,
The second show.
The second show. There's tickets for sure. But
Yeah.
that's historically, that's been the best show.
The late one?
The late one on Saturdays. That's
That-
the most fun.
That feels like it's changed recently because that used to be death. When I would go to like Chaplin's and see comics, that came into town or whatever, and it was like that drunk Saturday night show, that second show used to drive me nuts.
Second show Friday's way worse.
Really?
Yeah, because people have been working all week and they're only there because they're being forced to.
What do you mean being forced to?
Their spouse is like, if you love me,
Yeah.
we will not sit at home for another fucking Friday night. And the guy's like, bitch, whatever. And she's like, why'd you call me bitch?
Yeah.
All right, let's go comedy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then you have to make them laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be funny.
I failed so miserably. I was in Atlanta, 3 weeks ago. And I did 5 shows. And one show, I just was absolutely destroyed by the audience. These kids, they hated me. They outnumbered me. They were too quick with their phones and their talking and their perfect heckling.
So were they good hecklers?
They were fantastic. Well, because the thing about stand-up comedy now is that, like, because of the success of Matt Rife with his crowd videos, so many comics are posting crowd videos of crowd work, which also in turn means the crowds get excited to be maybe a part of the next viral thing.
Yeah.
So then that changes their attitude about watching comedy because of the success of those videos. People are like, oh, it's cool. We can talk to comics now.
There's so much nuance with that, though. I remember seeing it going back to Chaplin's years ago, and it was what's his name from the cop movies.
Bobcat.
Gold Twig.
You know,
That's impressive.
But Bobcat came out, and there's a fine line between a comic who enjoys, there's a certain part of the set where it's like, okay, you address the crowd, and then you expect them to say stuff back. But Bobcat had a very refined hour that he was doing, and these guys wouldn't shut the fuck up. And it was like he left the stage after 20 minutes. He was just like, "Fuck all you guys." And I was so embarrassed. We'd had him in studio that morning, or the day before, whatever it was, and it was like the drunk late night crowd just like ruined this show because some dipshit thinks they're part of the show.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can't just watch a show. They feel like they have to be part of it.
Part of it. Yeah. And I mean,
we used to go through that with wrestling too, man. In a wrestling show, somebody would try to get up into the ring or something like that.
Really?
They'd immediately knock them right off the ring.
How hard do you hit them in that case?
Oh, if they get under the ropes, you go.
That happens. Some dipshit from the crowd will get under the ropes.
Yeah, they'll try to climb in. There's been plenty of times over the years, and as soon as they do,
it's on. It's on. It sounds like it's like
First real punch of the night.
yeah.
Exactly. No, it reminds me of like when someone in the crowd runs out of an NFL football field, and it's like, oh, now it's on.
Oh, yeah.
Now the middle linebacker can literally drop this dude. Like, there's going to be no flag for abusing a quarterback. You can just lay the dude out.
But like, what is the motivation for that? Because the second, like,
For hitting the guy or running on the field?
Running on the field. Like,
Yeah.
What is I mean, I get it in the 70s in LA when Morgana, with the chick with the big boobs,
Yeah.
came
Kissing
on and-
bandit.
The kissing bandit, yeah.
And that made sense. Like, I got that. That was novel. But now it's like, not one person in the stadium is like, oh, cool. There's a person who's stopping me from watching what I paid a lot of money for.
Yeah.
And then, there's definitely the part of like all you think is, I really hope the linebacker kills him.
Yeah.
So not one person is rooting for you.
Yeah. Well, it does piss me off because what they've done to combat that is they won't show it anymore on TV. It's
great.
So then you got to go on Twitter because
Find
everybody in the
everybody's
crowd
cell phone
films
video.
it. Yeah. But they won't. But I want to see the linebacker take the guy's head off.
Yeah.
I just do.
There was just one a few days ago at Comerica. Some guy ran on the field.
Really?
I saw it all over TikTok and Twitter. I think
Baseball
it was
player?
two
Oh,
or
yeah.
3 days ago.
And he was walking. He got to the point where it was really, really slow. Then he stopped and did this, and then the guy tackled him.
Yeah.
It was on the first base side.
Yeah.
I saw that.
That's got to be the funnest moment for a security guard because it's usually in baseball. It's usually a security guard that finally gets them or a cop. In football, it's usually one of the players on the field.
Can you imagine that? That's probably part of the job description when you're getting hired in for security. You're like, all right, it's $20 an hour. That's not great. You have to carry a gun. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. But here's the deal. If anybody gets on the field,
Free
you
reign.
beat the shit out of them, and you will not get in trouble. And I guarantee they're like, that's fine.
It is one of the few moments where you can have violence in society, which is absolutely approved across the board.
Yeah.
Completely
Everybody's like, yeah, they
Yeah.
deserved it.
Yeah. Take him down. It's
Did you see the one where the guy went out to propose?
oh
in
yeah.
the
Back
middle-
Dodgers, I think.
Yeah.
Goes
Dodgers
out like he's
game.
doing the whole thing. He gets down to propose, and the dude just comes in from the side, just levels
Hey,
him.
if you're going to line yourself up like that, you got to expect that.
Exactly. You're not a moving target there. Yeah.
Well, it's people
sitting
have
in the pocket.
People have seen too many Hollywood movies. Like, oh my God, look at this. There's some TikTok video of some guy proposing.
So
and-
romantic.
Yeah, it's so romantic. It's like, no, dude, you're gonna get your ass kicked right
And
now.
now you're going to jail, too.
Yeah,
Which is so
under the
dumb.
stadium.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's awful for them. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get it. I'm assuming it's mostly alcohol induced when you see stuff
Well,
like
there was
that.
a stretch when it was they were writing the endorsements .coms on their back, and they were running around just to get the publicity,
Yeah.
the advertising of it.
Yeah.
And then there was the guy that did a prop bet. Whether there was going to be a streaker or not, and then he streaked.
Yeah.
He bet it, and then he streaked it, and then they found out that it was him.
Yeah.
The idiot didn't have somebody make the bet for him.
Yeah.
Put it in his own name, I think, and then they negated
Is
the
that
bet.
When
is
you're
that-
going to scam the system, you got to go all
You
the
got to
way.
be smart
Yeah,
about it,
yeah,
at least.
Right? Dummies.
10% for the big guy for placing the bet for you, you know?
What's the problem with that though? I mean, if you're running the risk of getting your ass kicked and maybe going to jail, you should
Yeah.
be able to bet. Hey, someone was streaking.
I questioned
today.
that myself at the time. Like,
Gambling houses are
where's
never
that in
gonna-
where's that in the rules? It doesn't say I can't be the streaker.
Yeah.
I mean, I think gambling sites all have the right to decide not to pay
Yeah.
you if they want. Just,
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's like the casinos. If you win too much and they think you're fine, they're like, yeah, we're not
Yeah,
going to give
no,
you
you're
that
just
money.
done. You're out.
It's so
It's
interesting
over.
because I'm researching a bunch of casino stuff for this movie that I'm trying to write.
Is it Casino 2?
And that's close.
Ocean's 44.
No, it's called Just to Watch Him Die. And it's like a casino robbery in Reno. And I had to do all this research on all this casino stuff. And it's so interesting what they will and won't do in a situation like if you walk into a casino right now with a gun and you go to the cage, they will give you all the money. They will give you everything. They will not have a shootout. They will not run the risk of going back and forth because they have you on film. They have all the whatever, I think die pats, etc.
Second you step out that door.
You are fucked. Yep, it's over. Yeah, that's 100%. And like, there's so many different, like, I was reading about all this successful and different, like, ways
Are
to
there
take a
successful
casino.
ones?
There's there's one dude who won 28 million, and he was the guy that they based that character on in Casino, where the Japanese businessman came in and he was up like 10 grand, and then he wanted to leave. I'm sorry, he was up like 10 million, and he wanted to leave, and they said the plane wasn't working. So then he ended up losing all of his money. That was based on a real thing. This guy took 28 million from this casino, so the casino just had a limo sitting in front of his house 24/7 and waiting with a private jet waiting, and he came back and he gave most of it back.
Really?
But the only
That seems a bit like, come on, man.
no,
you clean out everybody every night. The house wins. So if some guy has a great, I mean, I don't know. Was he counting cards? Was he cheating? Was he?
I have no idea, but it's just like it was talking about how casinos approach it, and it was like there's been so few times that people have like really won big and gotten away with it, and sued. Very few people have successfully sued casinos, like one or two. But the biggest casino heist in the history of them is based on in 1992 at the Stardust Casino. There was a guy who was he worked in the sports book. So he was taking bets, and he befriended some other high roller casino players who would give him advice and different things. So then he insisted that he get a promotion and he become the counter. So he was the counter. And this happened to be like the third week of the NFL season. It was a Monday Night Football game. Tons of money was there in the vault, and this guy literally just walked. He did the count. He did the deposit. And he walked out the door with $520,000 in chips and cash. They never saw him leave. They never found him. They never found the chips or the money or anything. The guy's the only person. He was the FBI's most wanted list for like 25 plus years. Now now he's free and clear if the guy's alive.
Statute of limitations run out?
There's no longer a warrant. It's like the Stardust Corporation is no longer a casino. So,
Yeah, that's old Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Stardust. The sign's still there, right?
I don't know.
Or is that gone now?
I don't know.
That's crazy. So why wouldn't, I mean, they often say that that's the most cameras in the world on a city. Like, how would that guy?
Well, it's interesting because regardless of your presumption is what most people think. They're like, yeah, there's going to be cameras everywhere and cameras on every door and cameras. But sometimes in situations like that, the places aren't as secure as you think they are. They would have less cameras, more distracting cameras, and they would use the extra money. Like, let's say there's an extra $300,000 or $400,000. They can spend that on like security or a whole new row of slot machines where they can make more money. So sometimes they were saying there was a couple of doors of this casino that weren't armed with cameras. Like some doors were just like exited, like they have no idea. They didn't see him leave.
Wow.
They didn't see the person leave. They never found his body. No one's ever seen this guy again.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of people think he was murdered the second he got out by one of his high roller casino buddies.
Yeah.
But still, it's pretty interesting. It's like they're very secure and they're not as secure as you think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I've researched.
It's crazy. No, I've seen documentaries on it, whether it's guys that count cards and travel the country, and the disguises are incredible.
Yeah.
The lengths that these guys go to
Yeah.
to pull it off. And they show their winnings and losing, their losses and wins bouncing around the country. It's like, okay, we're going down to Louisiana. Well, we're going up to Windsor and Detroit. And it's like won 10 grand, $10,812. And then the next night, lost 3 grand. And they'll have days where even card counters,
Yeah.
it's just, it swings the odds in their favor just enough, but they don't necessarily win all the time.
Right.
No.
And so, but these casinos do not screw around, man.
Nope.
I mean, they figure it out quick. I don't know. To me, it seems like if you can count cards, good on you, man.
No,
and
and
it's
they-
not illegal.
That's the thing. It's not illegal.
Right.
But they can still kick you out for it.
yeah, they can
once
kick you out for any reason.
Once they can prove it. And it's also very difficult to count cards. Like if you make one mistake, you've fucked your whole deck up. You fucked
Yeah.
everything else. And so, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
And that started from some fucker running on the field.
Oh man, I was impressed, Chris. You've been doing Ridley's for a couple nights. We went on Thursday night, had a blast, and ran into Jay Adams and Shannon. It was great seeing you guys, obviously, and
Fun time.
yeah, for sure. But it's gotta be terrifying when you drop a new special. And I have the most respect for comics who do that, and then that material is dead. They just don't do it anymore because it's got to be, if you're losing a crowd, I got to do an hour tonight and it's not working. It's got to be really hard not to just go, okay, I know these stories or jokes hit, but you didn't do any of that. I don't think anyways. I don't remember. I think that was 100% new stuff.
Not 100%, but close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was high 80s, high 80s or maybe.
I got
low 90s.
distracted when Michelle got there, so I
Yeah.
wasn't listening
That's
to every
fine.
minute.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
But I also,
Understand.
but I have some that I just enjoy telling frequently, And
Yeah.
so it's like, there's a couple that I like that are just staples, and they'll just come out when they come out. And
That's the beauty of the too soon is
Yeah.
is that
Yeah,
that's
yeah, that's
adaptable. Is that you can always just keep building on that same premise and change and add it so that that doesn't ever have to go away, but the jokes can evolve over time.
Yeah, I had the greatest too soon lyric when Damar Hamlin went down. It was no, it was fantastic. It was just like it basically just said,
You could just say Damar Hamlin, and the whole crowd would go, "Oh!"
well, like it's so funny. It's interesting. Here's a football player who was just doing his job, playing a sport, and all of a sudden he was injured. He has a heart attack. He's literally on the field, dying, and the entire world stopped and cared about this gentleman. Can you just imagine what would have happened if he would have taken a knee? Like, and it's like I think that joke is still
Beautiful.
funny as fuck.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But it's like it's so fucking ridiculous how
Yeah.
people are ridiculous.
I think he's going to play this year.
I hope he does great.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
There's
man.
but do you think? And I don't want a conspiracy because I don't know. But like, have they been promoting? Because it could just be my algorithm that seems to be death oriented still. But like,
Yeah.
all these young athletes getting heart problems and
Yeah.
dying. Like, do you think that's because of the water?
Clearly.
No, I don't think it's the water. I don't know. I know where you're going with this.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just saying.
Well,
do you think it's just better
been
publicity.
There's been links to myocarditis. Some people say the vaccine, and some
okay.
people say that's a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
I don't know. It does seem weird to have 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old athletes dropping, whether that's Bronny James or, Damar Hamlin just took a helmet straight
Yeah.
into the sternum.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like that to me is like, yeah, he got hit so hard right at that spot, and it just stopped his ticker.
Yeah.
And thank God, those NFL fields, every NFL stadium has the best. I mean, outside of having a heart attack in a hospital,
Yeah.
you're not going to get a better place than an NFL stadium
Yeah.
for that kind of thing.
Right.
So, but
On
yeah,
the field, not in the stands.
But
not in the yeah.
this thing's
On the
been
field.
going on for. I mean, the heart problems with young athletes have been going on for years.
So it's more publicity.
Well, it's been going on because I remember different stories here in Detroit, and I remember 97.1 got into this whole thing about getting your kids tested, and that was way before any of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
For teen athletes because it was, and that was way before any of that stuff. So I don't know exactly what it is, but
None of us do.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
honestly, I mean,
I wasn't implying anything.
No, and I'm certainly not going to stand here and go, God damn it, this proves the vaccines and the government. And blah. Like, no, I don't know. And,
no, it's clearly the water, like Chris said.
Right, right. But the fact is, we, as human beings, we're not designed to take in the world's information.
No.
Like, we're community based, help your neighbor, what's going on in my local council, what's going on in my local town, my local sports teams. And for the last 15 years, all of a sudden we're inundated with the world's information. So a lot of that is like, I remember on the Drew and Mike show, if there was some crazy story out of Oregon and, someone would literally clip it out of their newspaper and mail it to us.
Right. You didn't hear about it for 4 or 5 days.
Hell no, or weeks.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, my mom found this story you guys might find interesting. And it might be a crazy ass story. But now it's like that happens in Oregon. I know about it 5 minutes later and we're talking about it. Right. And that's happening globally. So the myocarditis thing, you might be absolutely right, Jay, that this has gone on. It's a freak thing with young males usually. That's been happening everywhere.
I don't even think it's necessarily a freak thing. I mean, we're not really, our bodies are not made to play sports. I mean, we're not made
Says
to
the
do
wrestler.
these things. I know, but I mean, our bodies are not made to do that. So especially with high school sports and things like that, with how hard they push these kids nowadays.
Yeah.
They push these kids so hard. And these kids don't have lives, man, that whether it's a local and then they play travel. And it's like, not only the parents don't have lives, these kids don't either. And
It's become year round.
And it's insane.
nuts, yeah.
And in all honesty, your bodies are not supposed to do that. Yeah, you can train your body to be certain ways, but some people are just not made to do it.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, trying to keep up with the Joneses is a real thing for these parents with kids, man. I see it with my niece and nephews, where it's like, and friends that have kids, and they're traveling all over the damn country for stuff, and it's like,
It's especially
kid's
worse
13.
with parents that, and when they were young, they almost made it. So
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
close
yeah.
to making it. So,
did they really though?
But
did
well,
they really?
But even if even if they thought that, so now their kids, they're like, well, I was this close. I'm going to push you even harder so that you get past that.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
Vicariously
They're
through
called
their
the
kids.
Jackson 5.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt, because we know we're a dreamer by nature. We dream big, and you weren't able to do it because you just didn't get the structure and you weren't pushed hard enough, but you could have. You could have. And we see that a lot with the Tiger Woods. It doesn't take many Tiger Woods stories out there where, okay, dad just pushed his kid at an early age. There's shit tons of golfers now that are like that, that are, everybody wants a prodigy.
Well, everyone copies what's successful. Like everyone,
Right.
like whenever there's something new, whatever it is, everyone's like, oh, that's the answer. Beeline to that.
Yeah.
Little kids playing golf and like, yeah.
Serena and her
Yeah, there you
her
go.
dad,
Making tennis way
So-
more popular. Yeah, it's nuts.
It is.
There's right where in the old neighborhood that I used to live in, LA, and there's Harvard Westlake is one of the high schools there, and I think it's the number 1 or number 2 college prep quarterback school, and it's like a fucking high school team, and it's just like their tuition is ridiculous, and it's
Yeah.
like because they have the top athlete, and you just see kids all year round, like you were saying, just practicing, throwing, passing on this
Yeah.
field, and you're like, what the fuck, man? When are you gonna go finger some girl?
Yeah, right?
Eat a pizza and
What
hang
happened
out
to-
and be 15 like a normal kid?
Yeah, what happened to stealing a bottle of Boone's Farm and going underneath the
Yes.
stands on a Friday night and trying to make out with some chick and get shit-faced? Yeah, it doesn't exist for them.
No, I got practice at 4 a.m. I can't.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Why would you do that to a kid? It's nuts.
Seems weird to me, but it's I took a weird angle on the college admissions story. Remember that from a couple years ago? It was like Lori Laughlin.
Yeah.
And her
Full
husband,
House.
Mosimo, whatever, the guy that started Mosimo. Yeah, the girl
Target
from the
clothes guy. Massimo.
Massimo, yeah. But it was like, yeah, I sort of understand. If you've got unlimited funds, every parent I know wants to do everything they can for their kid to give them any advantage.
Sure.
And it doesn't surprise me that someone's going to go, you're part of the crew team. Here's a $500,000 donation. Take a picture next to a
You
boat.
think it's not still going on?
I
exactly.
guarantee it is.
Those people just got thrown under the bus for 10 seconds.
Yeah, and did a little bit of jail time for it.
And
I
it's like-
imagine it's more rampant in LA. Well, I shouldn't even say LA. It's probably everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to get an advantage for their kids. Who's not going to do everything they can for their kids?
Absolutely. That's so weird. I almost took it to a strange place.
You should. Where are you
Yeah.
going to take it?
I was gonna say, it's like, it's really the weirdest thought, and I have no idea how I got there from it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, and this is not in any way political, but it begins this way for 1 second to set up till I get to my point. So back in the day, in the Bill Clinton era, and there was the Monica Lewinsky scandal, that poor girl went through all the thing, blah blah blah, etc. And then I would imagine her entire existence was dudes wanting to get blown by her because of like she blew the president. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah.
Hey, nudge nudge. My same thing, and then from there for some reason it went to I bet there's girls out there or women out there who are like, I would love if Louis C.K. jerked off in front of me because that would be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because I have a story. And I don't know how that started with team travel sports.
Maybe you should have just said, no,
Dude,
never mind.
It's sort of like I used to say on the show all the time, and now she's sort of turned hot. I'd fuck Roseanne for the story.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like I used to say that. I'd fuck Roseanne
She's
just
so
to have
ta-
the story.
She's so talented.
Yeah.
She's brilliant.
She's nuts.
She's wonderfully
she's-
smart. She's so smart.
Yeah.
And she's playing. She does whatever she wants. If you ever have an opportunity to see her do stand-up live, she's exceptional. She's one of the greatest of all times.
Yeah. She's a goat for sure.
So good. Sorry about my sidebar.
No, your sidebar was fine.
Sorry about my sidebar.
Is it going
I
back
think
to
somebody's writing for somebody pretty soon.
Yeah.
Are you still on strike?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so that's what happens when I'm on strike.
Yeah. We should talk about that. That's why I wanted to bring you guys in. It was funny. T-Roy the other day, you were going somewhere. Was it Thursday or Friday?
Oh, you talking about Jay?
Yeah.
Oh, was at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
The day we
okay.
didn't do a show.
The day we
PR.
didn't do a
Yep.
show, yeah. I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I had, my phone died. I'd gone straight from work, and I ran out to the car in the middle of a rainstorm and went to just go get my charger, realized I didn't have a cube, so I had to sit in my car for a minute and let it charge up. And then in the 5 minutes that I was sitting there, I had NPR on, and I hear Jay Adams interviewed on NPR. I'm like, what the hell are the chances?
He plays it for me on the phone, and I'm listening, and I'm like, I know I should recognize that voice. What am I listening to? And he's like, that's fucking Jay Adams. I'm like, get out of
weird,
here.
on NPR. That was a first
How did
for
that
me.
come about?
Well, so I'm on the local board for SAGAFTRA here in Michigan, and so we've been obviously doing a lot of stuff with the strike and everything. And some of us board members have been taking some like media training for it, learning about the strike. So if we're doing interviews and stuff like that, and then our national rep out in Chicago, he gets in touch with us. People will contact him that want to do interview requests and stuff like that. And so he just asked me if I wanted to do one for NPR. She was interviewing a few people. It was a Zoom interview just to get. Because a lot of people are focusing on the LA and the New York side of the strike, but they don't know.
Yeah.
The smaller locals like Michigan and Pittsburgh, Ohio, things like that. Yeah, well, Atlanta's actually a pretty big one. Atlanta, Chicago,
Texas.
Those are big ones, but there's a lot of smaller smaller locals around the country too. That like Michigan, we only have about 900 members in our local. But yeah, so they wanted to get some info on how it's affecting smaller market actors and some people and stuff.
Is SAG-AFTRA the same if you're a member in Michigan as LA?
Yep.
Yeah,
It is.
So
okay.
they
So you
have-
guys have to pay annual dues and
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in the same union, but there are different things where initiation fees when you're joining and things like that might be lower if you're in a smaller market. But then if you go to work in that bigger market, like Michigan was a smaller market, so when I first joined, I paid a certain initiation fee because that's for the smaller local. But then when I started working in New York and things like that,
Is the scale different
I
too?
had no, it's all the same. Yeah,
Right.
it's just different initiation fees for the size of your local.
we
so.
had a lot of people in radio that joined SAG-AFTRA.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of
because
broadcasters. Michigan's actually the only international local as well because we have Windsor
right
broadcasters
there.
as well.
Yeah, I know like Ann Carlini, Trudy Daniels, like they were all SAG-AFTRA members because they, if the opportunity came up to do a Lincoln commercial, just voice work, they wanted to be able to do that.
All the reporters at Fox 2, they're all SAG-AFTRA members. And,
Yeah.
Is there like an exemption though that they still get to work on some level during the strike because
There's some. That
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that struck are the studios that do film and television, things like that. So we can still do commercials and things like that.
Okay.
Voiceover, dancing, singing, which we don't do, but you can do those contracts. It's just the contracts for the film and the television that you can't work.
Okay. So, Chris, it's kind of interesting the trajectory that your career's taken because you've been in LA for what, 25 years plus?
20.
20?
I think it's 20.
Yeah. And most of that time you were working as a comic and doing some writing stuff, but that's kind of blown up for you over the last few years. You've done a lot of writing. You've worked on a lot of TV shows. You've been hired by the big studios to work on a lot of stuff. And it's awesome to see as a friend,
Thank you.
to see how much success you've had with that.
Thank you.
What has this kind of done for you guys? I mean, does it just turn the spigot off right
Well, it's like
He's doubly because you're in the WGA too,
Yeah.
right? So he's the
The Writers Guild?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's double striking.
so it's kind of like how when you see one of your friends who's got those bikes with a banana seat, and then you have that first experience where you put baseball cards in the
Sure,
spokes,
in the spokes,
and
yeah.
it's fucking you're going cool, and then all of a sudden one of your friends who doesn't like you just like takes like a steel rod and puts
Stick.
it,
Yeah.
and then you fly over the fucking
Sure.
front of your bike, and then you smash your face.
Sure.
It's like that, but not the teeth part. It's just instant, and it's just ugly, and it's just a lot of people who are really upset about things that, it's like there's a bunch of different people who have varying opinions on the strike. I would never cross. I absolutely 100% think that they should be striking. I think that mostly for insurance reasons, etc. I think because it's like they have great points about the minimums, etc. And they're like, what is it, 15, 18? How much do we need to make a year to qualify for SAG insurance?
$26,000
So $26,000, and you have to. Is it net or gross?
gross.
Okay, so
And
26.
that's residuals or base pay.
And you guys are getting screwed on residuals.
Well,
That's one of the
residuals,
sticking
it's
points, right?
If you're a screen actor and on a major show, you're going to make more than on a cable or whatever. Like if you're on one of the big three or the big four.
What would those be?
Fox, ABC, CBS.
See,
NBC.
those are bigger than
Well, that they
HBO and
That-
some of those AMCs. Like I think of those ones as
Well, that's
killing
the
it
thing.
right
That's
now.
why these contracts are so behind in the times because the major networks, they were contracted where they paid the best because that's where most people watch their TV.
Yeah.
That's completely
Gone.
changed.
It's totally
completely
gone.
changed.
Yeah.
So now that's what our contracts haven't haven't caught up to that. To the fact that networks aren't really where people watch most of
Dude,
their TV.
I can honestly say I have not turned on a network TV show
Mm-hmm.
in years. And like literally, the only time I turn on local networks is to watch the Lions game.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That's it. Unless I know, Newberg had a hand in this show or Jay's going to be on this show. So I'll
Right.
turn it in. It's like, there's our buddies. Look at the name on the credits. You know,
Right.
like that's it. I can't tell you a sitcom I've watched, a series I've watched on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. None of them. I'm
that's the thing.
exclusively AMC, HBO.
Yeah, all the really popular series that everybody talks about, they're on HBO.
Yeah.
They're on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
They're on Showtime. They're on, it's not
Because they can cut loose.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
have those FCC regulations that
Exactly.
water everything down.
Exactly.
It's
But
nuts.
there's still people in Middle America who want that, who want safe, who don't want to have the boat rocked. It's just easier for them. They've got the chaos of their own life. They want to watch stuff that's super chill, safe, bland, safe,
Yeah.
familiar. It's just easy.
They want to watch Touched by an Angel. They want
Yeah.
that kind of.
I guess. I mean, obviously those people exist, but there's still people with rabbit ears on their TVs. So
Yeah,
you know,
100%. And thinking back, like looking
They
back,
don't work. They're just there.
yeah.
how is touch not an angel? Like touched by an angel, just like that just seems so inappropriate. Depending
Touched
on-
by an angel.
Yeah,
Inappropriately touched by an angel.
Oh, there's all sorts of shows that had inappropriate titles.
Yeah.
That was the opening line for the Catholic Church.
I thought that was Touched by a Pastor.
Yeah, there you go.
I think a cool, fun name for a priest who was like a late night guy. He was really partier. Would be like Pastor Bedtime. I think that'd be so cool.
That's right up there with your Club Baby Seals.
Club Baby Seals.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I still think that's one of the funniest jokes.
I'm sure it's been thought of before me.
That would be a good DJ name, like
Club
Pastor.
Yeah.
Pastor Bedtime.
How did that joke go? I'm
DJ
trying to remember because it was years ago that you.
It was just like
I want to open a.
It was just like opening up a disco in Alaska and
Yeah.
calling it Club Baby Seals.
I don't know why certain jokes just grab me. So, can you guys explain? So, there's a big difference in the reality of Hollywood, the reality of the Writers Guild, the reality of script writers, and what Middle America thinks Hollywood is, right? So, Middle America is like, fuck these stuffed shirt, multi-gazillionaires that are constantly on the award stage that no one gives a shit about, preaching whatever bullshit cause they're for, and they despise them. They despise those people. But the reality is, it's a much different world for people working in that industry.
Well, yeah, I mean, so there's 160,000 members in SAGAFTRA, right? Only 15% of those members make enough each year to qualify for health insurance, and that's actually a high number. 15. They're talking probably closer to 12%. That's only 12 to 15% of people that make $26,000 a year.
Yeah.
And above. So, yes, obviously people think about the main actors. Because,
Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise,
because
yeah.
that's the one that they see. And on my interview on NPR, I say, this strike is not about those guys that you know. It's about the guys that you see, but you don't know their names.
Right.
You know what I mean? The guys like, me and Chris do little guest star roles on a show or something like that. They're not going to remember our names, but they'll remember the character, whatever. But they see us. We're the ones that this strike is for. We're the ones that are trying to make a living that,
And who are those
85%.
people? You're talking about everyone from craft services to people building stages and
All
sets.
that stuff is dark.
Are those all part of this strike? Because someone that's building a set, your ex did a lot of painting on Hollywood sets and stuff.
Well, the crew members are in a different union. That's IATSE and things.
Okay.
IATSE and Teamsters and things like that. But they can't work when we're not working.
Yeah.
So
Obviously,
they're
yeah.
all
They can still do commercials, but it's much less.
So
Yeah.
they're affected by it as well. But they're also they know how it is. They're good, strong union family, and they completely support us as well.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like I'm partially worried, like, because I think that there's a chance that they could break the guild. I mean, I
Really?
I think they could, because it's like it doesn't seem from a corporation perspective. If Disney has made it since the strike began, Disney's profit is up $100 million.
Yeah.
So if you're on the board of Disney, as much as it sucks,
Why is that?
Well,
Because of content that's already available on.
Well, that's a thing.
That's the thing, and plus they got to cancel out so many of these like force majeure deals with these producers that they hired to have these like expensive contracts for them to produce who weren't producing, so they don't have to pay any of those. Those are all null and void. That's part of their profit as well.
Is there something with the animation and be able to do the voiceover work and stuff where they're still able to put out content too?
Well, no, because now a bunch of the animators are unionizing, so they're kind of following along. This is really a historical time in our history, because the only time that the SAG-AFTRA and the WGA have gone on strike, that was 60 years ago.
Right.
And so that was before we even had residuals. So that was to fight just to start getting residuals. So this is a really historic time. I think. Not only with our unions, but we saw what happened with UPS. We see what's happened with the UAW. UAW is going on strike. Period.
Yeah.
They're going to be on strike pretty soon. Yeah. UPS just narrowly missed theirs. People are fighting back against these corporations. Man.
Yeah.
People are tired of the corporate greed and seeing these record profits for the corporations, and then the corporate people having the gall to say, the big famous one in this strike. Bob Iger. He made this comment about what they're asking for is in reason, but we couldn't possibly afford to give them what they want. He made that announcement from a $400 million yacht.
Yeah.
It was like,
That's got to be
come on.
insulting on every level.
Exactly.
Like, dude, really?
So he's kind of changed his, and I know after this I'm probably never going to work for Disney, but I've worked for him before, but I probably won't in the future. But that's the thing. Now he's kind of calmed down, and now he's like, "Whoa, no, that's not exactly what I meant."
We got to go back to the table.
Yeah. So, but just that kind of stuff is the messaging. It's so bad because, like I said, not only us, but so many different industries right now, they're fighting back, man.
Yeah.
The workers need it.
I imagine it's like anything, like the little guy trying to take on the corporate behemoth. They can ride you out financially in court forever, as long as they need. So, striking it seems like the only way you can do something. But it's like, we're not going to work for you under these conditions anymore.
Here's how the strike ends. This is the only way it fucking ends. If you're the creator of what's the
2.5 Men.
No, the Game of Thrones. That's the new Game of Thrones. Something of the Dragon. What's
Not George R.R. Martin, but
the one that's gigantic on HBO right now, and they have a huge budget for it. Whatever the show is,
Land of the Dragon or something.
yeah, I don't think I think they're also shut down, etc. You as a showrunner for that show, call up Taylor Swift, and you're literally like, we want you on the show as soon as the strike's over, and then she'd be like, well, I can only do it next week, and then be like, make the call.
Taylor Swift can make it happen.
Yeah, Taylor
Probably.
Swift could. She's like such an insanely profitable corporation. She'd just be like, hey, Swifties, don't do Netflix this month.
yeah.
100%. It's like not a realistic solution, but
And
she's got
that's
that power.
another thing, like what you were asking, why, what Chris was saying, how they just had a profit because they're saving money. But that does have to do with because they're already working on already done content that they're getting ready to.
But that can air.
But that can air, yeah, that can air. But so
that'll
they're-
dry up.
But that's
Yeah.
once they don't have new
There's going to be a
content-
void at the end of this thing,
Yeah,
regardless.
but you guys could be screwed by then. I mean, if they could play that out for 6 more months, I mean, you're talking about little guys here.
Yeah.
When you're talking about
They're going to get rid of a lot of people. It's going to thin the herd 100%.
Yeah, there's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of people changing industries, on this. But the problem is, it's it's something that, like I said, it's a necessary evil. It's like nobody wants to be on strike. I'd love to be working right now.
Yeah.
But the problem is, you have to do that to be. You also can't be taken advantage of, and you can't be. You have to make sure that you fight for what you deserve.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the reason I said, and I didn't explain it well enough, but that I think that the union, the guild could break. Is
yeah,
because-
that's what I was just going to ask you about. You're
because-
talking about the Screen Actors Guild.
Well, I don't think that. I think SAG will be fine, but I think the Writers Guild just there's a chance it would disappear. But because it's like I saw a friend of mine just sent me. He goes, "Lau, check this out," and it was a job. It was a writing job submission for Warner Brothers for Barstool Sports for some cartoon that they have on YouTube. That's like a 2-minute a week episode, and it's a fantasy. It's basically it's called like Gridiron Heights or something. I'm not sure what it's called, but this job offer was like, you can work from anywhere in the country. We're going to give you $100,000 a year. We're going to also give you health insurance. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, fuck. Like this could, if they start doing this and individualize it.
But that's the problem, though. They're going to do that, but they're going to do what they do with writers all the time. They'll hire them, and 2 months later, they'll be like, "Boop, out,"
Yep.
and then
Hump and dump.
and then what do you do?
Yeah,
You know
because
what
they
I
got all
mean?
your stuff.
Yeah, so you have to have that guild to protect you. man.
100%.
Yeah.
I listen, I'm super on the side. I want to work really
No,
bad.
I understand what you mean. I'm just saying, yeah, that's like you said though. They literally. I mean, you've seen it happen a million times. You can have somebody there 3 weeks and boom, they're gone.
Yep.
It's just it doesn't matter.
It's true.
So where do you guys think this goes? I've got a story from last night, I guess, from the New York Times.
Okay.
And it sounds like there's some movement. So as TV and movie writers started their 101st day on the strike, on Thursday, the leaders of their union said they agreed to formally restart negotiations with studios for a new 3-year contract. Our committee returns to the bargaining table ready to make a fair deal, knowing the unified WGA membership stands behind us and buoyed by the ongoing support of our union allies, the Writers Guild of America Negotiating Committee said. In a statement, this session will take place in Los Angeles, I guess yesterday, Friday. And then it goes into more detail, but is that good news to hear? Is that bullshit? Is that...
It could be.
It could be either. It could be both.
Really?
Yeah.
It's at least something.
So
You
that's-
have to at least be able to negotiate
Yeah.
to get anywhere. So it's something, but it doesn't mean anything's going to come
What
of
I
it.
heard
Yeah.
is what I took it as. I heard today that the WGA is now going to review the offers from the studios. So it sounds like they came back yesterday. The studios had a proposal, and now they gave it to them, and they're going to go through it and see what. I don't think it's going to work, but I think that's. So I think they have a proposal right now, and now the WGA is reviewing it and seeing what.
But it's also entirely possible that the studios are just sending some bullshit proposal to look good because they look so terrible after the guy's like, I want everybody to lose your houses. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's like, they don't want that.
So is this like, I think back a few years ago, the music industry. Now, if you had a top 5 hit in music, right, or God forbid, a number 1 hit,
Right.
you could literally live off mailbox money the remainder of your life. You would get $100,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars for having written a top 5, top 10 song. And then the Napster shit happened, and then streaming services, and those guys were cut out at the knees. It's over. It doesn't
There's
matter.
some that still like your Don't Stop Believins and stuff like that. They
Sure, but by and large, the Sponges of the world or the Jewels of the world that had big singles, are really affected by that. Like those days of having written that song or performing that song, they're not making that money. They were just done. Is that kind of what you guys are dealing with when you're talking about streaming services now? Where it hasn't been worked out properly.
Yeah, it hasn't been worked out properly.
Yeah.
It hasn't been updated. That's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah, and they still call it in our contract. It's still labeled as new media,
Yeah.
And it's like, it's
New
not,
media.
It is.
20
There's-
years.
There's these new media contracts. It's like, this is not new media more. This is
the
the
media.
media.
The media.
Exactly.
It's not new anything. It's literally the standard.
Exactly. So, and it used to be when our contracts were up for negotiation, they used to give us these, I remember hearing these lines where like, well, they can't see exactly how many times a show has been watched in a certain amount of time.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
Don't give me
We
that.
finally learned later on that of
course they can.
Of course they can. So
Yeah.
the structure for the residuals is nowhere near, and in my opinion, it takes too long too, because different contracts you get paid differently. Like network, as soon as it airs, they have like 60 days to pay you. As soon as it replays, they have 60. Cable, like non-pay cable or even pay cable, you don't even start getting residuals for a year until it's been on streaming. Any of the streaming ones, it's got to be streaming for a year before you even see any.
Really? And what does that check look like?
And that's the thing. I don't know how to like check to make sure it's legit. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? With a network show or something like that, you can see how many times it's ran. You can.
What do you go to Nielsen ratings? And you go, dude, this was the #1 show that week.
There's actually different companies that keep track of all that, and that will keep it in a database. Like the studios employ them, and then also the unions employ this to make sure that we're getting paid right. But with the streaming, it's like all up in the air. We don't know how. I can't figure out how the structure even really works.
Well, because there's nothing for people to physically hold and buy,
Right.
and that would like with DVDs.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
were so many people who were purchasing these different things, so the profit was definitely like visible.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can just say, you can't. They're trying to figure out a way to regulate and monetize like a click or a stream
Yeah.
or whatever, and like with the way YouTube is doing it. You've got a bunch of people who are like, oh, I'm making $100,000 a month. You also have way more people who are like,
Making 2 cents a month.
if that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the requirements for you to get there. I think it's for you to actually start being monetizing on YouTube. It's you have to have 1,500 followers. 1,000 followers. You have to have 600 hours of watched time, people watching your stuff for 600 hours of time. And then you also have to have 10 million views of shorts. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
How am I going to
Yeah, how does the average guy?
And then the easiest
It's-
way is
yeah.
you're going to pay for advertising, and you're going to pay for advertising, and you're going to get more clicks and more stuff. But then you have the analytics of people who are just clicking for 1 second, and that doesn't go towards your time watched. And it's like,
Yeah.
so then you have Netflix doing the exact same thing just because someone turned on 2 seconds of Stand By
Or
Me,
bump their remote.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like they're trying to figure all that shit out.
Yeah, no, I feel it with podcasting. 99.9% of podcasts don't make a fucking penny ever.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And you think about how much amazing content you listen to on podcasts.
Right.
Not over 99% of them don't make a dime.
We should go on strike.
Yeah, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like I said, not only people all over the country and different industries are starting to fight back, but artists are really starting to fight back. It's like we've created this content for you.
Yeah.
Like this is our art. Like we
Yeah.
just want to be compensated properly for it. That's all.
Well,
It's like like I said, I'm not trying to become a millionaire. I know I won't become a millionaire. I just want to make enough to
Yeah.
to
No,
survive.
I sort of feel bad where it's like I'll go to the Freep and it's like, oh, what are they saying about the Lions game last night or something? And it's like behind a paywall and it's like $1 a year. And I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $1 a year. Are
Yeah.
you insane?
I pay for the free.
Do you? My brother does too out in Arizona.
It's
But
$1 a year.
it's crazy. And you're like, I ain't paying that.
I didn't know. I just literally was like, it's $1.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah, I get
nuts.
the rage. I understand. Like, paywalls are the worst.
Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing. Everything's starting to add up. Like, we cut the cords, right? Because
Yeah.
we're going to save money.
Yeah.
And now all these streamers.
Yeah.
You got it. You can't have just one. No, you have to have Paramount Plus, but you also have to have Disney. You also have to have
Hulu
Max and all this stuff. So you
And I do. You end up paying just as much.
Exactly.
And now the difference is I don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to go to Google and I'm like, where do I watch Tulsa King? I don't know. You know?
I had
Paramount Plus. by the
Yeah,
way.
I know. I watched it.
Nice plug.
I had my friend's Netflix
Not plugging
password
it.
forever, and then it switched, and it's like now. So I have Netflix now, and it's like they're so different. Like, because I'd never get any of the notifications because it was always going to. I was part of his family package or whatever.
Yeah.
So it switched, and now it's like, remember when Netflix first started, and they started off with like sending you messages, and they're like, "Are you still watching?" You know.
Yeah.
But now, like, I got a message the other day, and it was like, don't forget to finish watching this movie. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
what
creepy.
the fuck?
Yeah, that's creepy.
And they're like, hey, I'll get an email on this. It's like, hey, Jay, because you watched this, we thought you'd like this. And I'm like, I do like that.
It's also, yeah, it's
They're very
so
good
awesome.
at that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really great.
There's another aspect to this strike that I found really fascinating, and it's something I never considered, and that's AI technology. And this, I just assumed, like a lot of people, oh yeah, this is going to affect the truck driving industry, right? You're gonna have a robot drive 24 hours a day cross country, and no big deal. And those people, they can find something else to do, you know. And it's a shitty attitude to have, but you're like, oh, I go to McDonald's, I don't have to deal with some shitty kid there. It's just they got a robot now, kiosk, and all that. We deal with it at grocery stores.
Robot's not going to spit in my burger.
Exactly, or be a cunty attitude person that you see. But I just assumed entertainment was off limits. Like, these are very creative individuals.
Well, we did too.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's like, well, what are you going to do? Replicate me to do a podcast? You're going to replicate a fucking Tom Cruise to make a movie? And it's like,
Turns out,
yeah, these things potentially, I think we are in a really dangerous area where we have no idea how good these things are going to be able to churn out a script that's brilliant. Some of the most brilliant shit ever written.
Well, what you're going to see is there's going to be new job opportunities for AI prompters. You'll have writers' rooms that if they are successful in getting AI into the mix for creativity.
Is that even a question?
Well, they're trying.
They're trying.
That's
but
what we're trying to protect against.
Yeah.
Like, whereas there used to never be a job for like a social media person or whatever that just became such a part of life. If that happens in Hollywood, so a writer's room that would normally have 5-6 writers would have maybe one writer and an AI prompter or 2 AI prompters. AI prompters are the people who know how to ask AI the correct questions to get the result they want. So whereas, for example, with AI, you can't just go onto ChatGPT or whatever, which one you ever use, and go, write me a script about this in this. You have to be, write me a script in the tone of like Steven Soderbergh, following the Saved by the Cat principles of this storytelling with this outline and this page structure. And like, it's very, very, so like what you have to actually plug in.
That's today, though.
Right. But I'm just
Today,
saying.
imagine 5 years from now.
But none of this is unique that they're creating. I mean, in a way it is, but it's all based on what's already been done on other people's work.
100%.
So it's just hijacking and manipulating other people's work and
That's
taking
the
that
thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, 5 years from now, AI is going to already have all of this information.
Right.
Like right now, we're inputting. Like AI is learning from us right now. In 5 years, they're gonna know enough.
Of course, and I think
We've
of it
seen
and I go,
Skynet. We know.
Imagine if you're a young comic and you kind of have a similar tone to a Mitch Hedberg or a Stephen Wright. Like, write me a joke, and I name those guys specifically because of the style that they have that's very specific.
Right.
You go, write me a powerful joke on relationships in Mitch Hedberg style.
No, it doesn't.
Like, and it would. Like, does that count? That guy goes up on stage and delivers that content? Like, to me, that's cheating.
I'm sure people do it.
I'm sure people do. Yeah.
Why wouldn't they want the advantage or the opportunity? It's
Yeah.
like on every level.
So how do you guys feel about that? That seems like bullshit to me. Like, if
bother
I had a
me.
script for my show that I was going through an outline that was written by a computer.
To me though, to me it's more about, because if you're gonna do that, you don't have the chops anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but what if
you're gonna be able to
what if
tell-
the playing field is so unlevel that you'll never have the chops?
But the
it's got the
problem-
world's information in the blink of an eye. And it's
But the people that are true performers that want to do art, they're not going to use that. And you'll be able to tell the talented people from the non-talented people.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, and if that kind of scenario, you can put up 10 comics, 5 of them written through AI, 5 of them their own stuff. You'll be able to tell a difference, because what the AI doesn't have is a heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a heart to writing. There's a heart to performing.
Absolutely.
That-
But didn't South Park this last season put out an episode, and at the end of it, it said this entire episode was written by ChatGPT? And I thought that episode was not very good. I didn't think it was missing the heart of what Trey and Matt write and bring. Yeah. But that's 2023. What do you do in 2030? You think that
Right.
thing's not going to be able to smoke
No,
Matt and Trey in a writing
exactly.
room?
But that's why we're trying to get those protections now.
Sure.
Yeah.
What are the
studios?
protections?
Yeah, well, because
We want to not be
AI
obsolete.
doesn't take a salary.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you can streamline your entire process, and studios and,
Yeah,
and
you'll-
that shit doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, you can say that's what when I said
They
if
don't
you're
care about
cut-
heart,
if
they
you're
care about
cutting
content.
4 writers, like if a writer room has 5 writers, you're cutting 4, having one and another person, you're going to save easily $200-300 grand on that season.
Yeah.
And so that's what, and we're like, no, we would.
Yeah,
like-
but what if people don't care? Do you worry that the public goes, I don't care, just give me good content? Whatever the behind the scenes
And
people,
that's
I don't
gonna
know
be-
them
that's
anyways.
gonna- That's going to be a thing too, because entertainment and absorption of content is all subjective. So
Yeah.
it's like you're going to have people who are like, this new AI shit is great. Have you seen AI Tom Cruise? He's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that'll be enough for some people. And there'll be people who are like, no, I remember when Tom Cruise used to really jump off planes. That was fucking cool.
Yeah.
I remember when Tom Cruise didn't do gay porn.
Yeah.
That's true. Now
I
it
mean,
goes on
that's,
AI.
we talked about that. You never know where it's going to go.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, so a big part of the Screen Actors Guild is background performers, extras. You know, a lot of people make their living just being in the background of TV shows in New York and L.A. That's how they make their living. They show up every day for 8 to 10 hours, whatever it may be. They make and they're in the union as well. The problem is, so the studios in this proposal, they proposed to have a background performer come in one time, digitally scan them, and then they will own their rights and be able to use them in perpetuity.
For $100 or something like
Yeah,
that.
like it's like, so at least when the background performers don't get paid as much as the actors, but when they show up every day and they can make a living. You show up one time and you're scanned, you don't have any more opportunity for work. You're done.
Yeah, you're done. They
burnt.
have you.
Yeah.
It'd be
Who was-
fine if you
who
got
was
the
the-
same pay for it and not have to show up.
Right.
Who
but
was the
that's
big
thing.
actor? Was it Tom Hanks that recently said that he was signing something that would give them license into perpetuity?
I did hear something that
It might
so
have been
that
him.
after he's gone,
could
after
still-
they can still use them. And
Yes.
something. I don't remember exactly. who it
Sold an
was,
NIL
but-
deal.
And it's like, dude,
God, that's
really, that sounds so selfish to me. Like, you know what? You had your career, you've had your run. That's awesome. Tom Cruise has to, or Tom Hanks needs to be making
But see,
Big Four in 50 years, long after he's dead.
So
Like,
Tom Hanks is an actor, but he's also a producer.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And he also knows that he can sell his rights, and he'll make, and his family will be set for as long after anytime they use his likeness, his family will get paid. These background performers, they will be
Yeah.
used forever, and their family will never see a cent of it. You know, it's like that was their proposal. It was unbelievable that they actually had
Yeah.
involved. And then they called it record breaking, like AI, technology and stuff like that. It's just unbelievable. It just shows they want people out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to deal with people.
And they want to make money.
I gotta be honest. I didn't see it coming with the entertainment field, with the potential destruction. Like, what are we doing?
Well, I started to see it with music. So music is when I really started. When I saw how AI can change different songs.
A year or two ago, all of a sudden, you could just say it,
Yeah.
and boom, this banger
Well,
would
there
just
was-
drop out. And you're
There
like,
was a song that came out on Spotify. It was supposed to be Drake and somebody else, and it was completely 100% fake.
Yeah.
But it was like, it had it actually made money
Yeah.
because so many people listened to it.
Yeah.
It had so many hits.
It's pretty amazing. Like I was just at the recording studio before I got here, and I was singing that thing, and my friend Brian goes, "Oh, you have to see the coolest thing." And because I sang the song through 3 times, and I was like, "Do I need to sing it through anymore?" He's like, "No, you kind of got it on the first, you kind of got it on the second, you kind of got it on the third." So he's like, "Watch this." Clicks a piece, clicks a piece, clicks a piece, puts it all, and he goes, and he plays it, and I see this little thing circling and thinking, circling and thinking. He goes, it's just, he goes,
Kept
it's
you in key.
He's like, it's learning your voice, and then it's going to tune it for me.
Yeah.
So then it had
Auto-tune.
But it was different from auto tune because it was like it showed me the notes and where I was on pitch, and anything that was like slightly this, slightly that,
It would bring it into
it would
pitch.
just tweak
bring
it.
it into pitch, and it did it in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Well, you see that. I think that's a lot of what's being churned out. I've watched quite a few, YouTube videos on this stuff, and you think of what's going on in Nashville and the gridding process,
Right.
And it's like there's just something to, and it's probably the heart that you talk about, Jay, where it's like having performers not be right on the beat, where you've got a technicality, you're doing a math equation with kick drums and snares,
Yep.
and it's like so perfect that it sounds goofy.
So
it's like, you know what I mean?
there's a famous story of James Brown. James Brown was like that. He would tell the certain songs he would have. He's like, no, you're hitting on the beat. You got to hit right before that beat.
Yeah.
And then he's like, that's what makes a song. And then all of a sudden, it just gives it this little different, this heart, like I said, and it makes the whole thing.
Have you guys ever seen the pictures of when they make, they'll take like Brad Pitt and be like, here's what he looks like if he's completely symmetrical.
Yeah.
And you're like, weird, that's a goofy, ugly son of a
yeah.
bitch. And it's like, you need that little bit of flaw. And rock and roll's a great example. When a band, you know, you look at the Who, like the timing was never on. Exactly. And it's like, but that's what gives it that feel, that crunch, that attitude.
There's beauty in imperfection.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Like, because even, you know, when things are too perfect, it's cool, but there's nothing unique about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. The beauty is in the perfection, that uniqueness that makes it different.
When I hear people edit
I'm all
commercials,
philosophical, man. This is
no,
great.
I love it. No, it's great. When I hear people edit audio, because I've done a shit ton of audio editing through my career, and a common mistake that people do is they take out gaps. They try to tighten it up because you can shave. You know, if you've got 34 seconds of something that needs to be crushed into 30 seconds, so it can air at a 30-second rate. But then they take out all the breaths, and you're like, this just sounds ridiculous. It doesn't sound human anymore.
Yeah.
You can't take out all those breaths. There's tricks to fade in, fade out, and tighten those breaths up a little bit that can work. But when you just chop them out and it goes word to word to word, it just doesn't sound human.
Right.
It sounds fake and weird.
And that's the thing that AI is going to have to put
They'll
put
get
those
it.
breaths in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
They will. Yeah. It's nuts, man.
That's crazy. Well, that's the biggest thing, especially with the writers. I commend the writers because without them going on strike, I don't know if we would have. And I commend them on sticking up for their rights, and especially with this AI stuff because we're in a weird
Scary.
place in history, man.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they could literally just go like this and get rid of us, and we have so much content that's in the back, like overseas content, all these different things that they would just be able to pipe it in, and no one would care because there would be like no one saw Squid Games coming.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
ginormous, and there's tons more Squid Game type stuff out there that could easily be replaced. So
Yeah.
plus,
Even in Korea, did you see that? Netflix, you know, has their whole Korea line, and now the Korean actors are they don't have like a strike system, but they're wanting to get paid what they should be paid now too.
Yeah.
It's going all over.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you guys see this playing out? I mean, because could it go either way, or do you think there will be a resolution in the end that's fair?
obviously, ideally, everyone wants a resolution, but I don't know. I don't see an end soon.
And the director's coming up next.
No, they already made a deal.
Did they already?
made the,
Oh, they got.
We're not gonna talk about that.
All right, no, my bad.
Why?
I didn't realize. I never heard they
why
got
is
the deal.
that? Why is that touchy?
There's just been talk
'Cause they
about
sold
how
out.
Yeah.
I'll say it. You don't have to.
That's
don't worry.
fair.
That they gave up too much. Because they were the ones that we were the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA were kind of looking to kind of base things on. And a lot of people have the opinion that they just got ran right over in their contract.
Can't you just start a new union like
That's why when I say
like
things-
Team America did with FAG, you know, the Film Actors Guild? Just start that, you know?
Yeah, I think that I do have a horrible feeling that if the guild does break, what you're going to see is a lot more individualized themed projects. Like you're going to see specific HBO type movies. You will still have movies coming into theaters, but it'll be seldom. And there'll be bigger ones, and then you'll have individual contracts for Lifetime movies and individual. That's where it could go. That's an option, and that would suck, but it would be weird. But
Yeah.
So what does it mean exactly for you guys currently? Like you were on and a background bit role, but Tulsa King was a big ass show. It's a great show with Sylvester Stallone. Is that something where, you know, the difference between before doing that and now is like your phone would ring and it'd be like, hey, we're looking for a big ass dude?
Well, that's the thing.
And,
I mean, the same thing Chris is going through. I mean, we're, usually I'm online and on my databases looking for jobs that are, we have different databases you can go onto that have the shows coming up and stuff like that. And you'd be prepping, once you're never done working. Like Chris will tell you, once you're off one set, you go home and you're looking for the next set. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we'd be doing that both. I'm sure he does the same thing. We'd be on our websites submitting ourselves for things like that and just making connections. But right now, all that we're doing, at least all I'm doing, is just meeting up. We're doing rallies. We've got one coming up Tuesday on the 22nd at 6:30 at the Millwrights building down in Detroit. It's going to be a joint SAG-AFTRA strike rally, but also a rally in support of the new tax credits that MIFIA.org is trying to get passed here in Michigan.
Yeah, what's going on with that? It felt like that was really successful at the time, and maybe I'm just naive about it, but...
No, it was successful at the time. So back
there were big movies that they made here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So back in 2007, 2008, Jennifer Granholm was the president, and she started this program where she started a film tax credit. It was great. It brought filming here. There was a couple of studios built, things like that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't sustainable the way it was written. I will admit that. It definitely wasn't. It was giving too much. We weren't getting enough back.
But you almost had to juice it in the beginning to get the ball rolling, which is what brought Wizard of Oz here. It brought Batman here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but what happened is then a new Republican governor came in, and he decided
Snyder?
He decided to get rid of it because we had the option to alter it when it was coming up for renewal, but instead of even bother with anything, they just cut it completely. So
yeah,
I remember when it happened, even when he came in and just talked about possibly getting rid of it, that was when the Avengers was getting ready to film. There were studio locators here in Michigan looking for locations to film the first original Avengers.
Really?
They didn't even it didn't even get cut out yet. They just talked about cut it out, and they instantly went and they went to Cleveland, and they filmed all that in Cleveland.
Wow.
A bunch of that in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So that's how big that is. So now,
and you see the dominoes fall, because there was a lot. People that I know in local media were part of those movies.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? When you need a TV anchor for the, the city's collapsing.
Especially
they were local
the Fox
guys.
2 people, because they are in the union. They're in SAG-AFTRA.
Exactly. Mojo was in one, I think.
Yeah.
And,
Mojo.
He's such a sweet guy.
So so for the past 5 years, I've been representing SAG on these meetings. It's a company, but it's not a company. It's an organization called MIFIA, MIFIA, MIFIA.org. And it's union leaders from IATSE, Teamsters. One of the chair is David Haddad, who he actually owns the trailers that we all get ready in. He has a whole line of those, and he has them on set whenever, it's usually Haddad's trucks, at least on the East Coast. So we've got a new bill, and it's gone through different iterations and things like that, and now it's finally been entered into legislation. It's in committee right now. There's 2 bills, so as soon as if we can get that voted on and through committee, passed through, we're hoping that'll happen in the next 2 months, and then it'll go to the regular House and Senate to get voted on to be put into law. And if so, it'll bring a new tax credit rebate, not a rebate, but a tax credit program for that films to come back in Michigan, and it'll start as of January 1st. So we're hoping that people, if you want to support it, go to MIFIA.org, take action, and or just MIFIA.org. You'll find the take action link, and they have it where you can set up where you can email your legislators and tell them you want this bill, because that's what we really need now. We just need the legislators to know that this is going to bring tons of
money,
tons of
so
jobs.
What was
not
wrong?
Just money, but jobs.
And maybe you said it and I just missed it. But what was wrong with the original? Were the tax incentives too big?
Yeah, so I think it was like a 40% flat across the board.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have any regulations as far as how many Michigan employees you have to hire and stuff like that. So this one is actually based on the Georgia model. But what you'll do is once you, and you have different things that you'll get a little bit extra, a few percent extra if you use the Pure Michigan logo. You'll get a few extra percentage if you use a certain percentage of Michigan employees as opposed to out of state. So I believe you can get up to 25%, but it's a credit for your next program. So say you come in, you film, you get that 25%. That credit is for your next project. Now, if you're not going to come back to Michigan and film here again, you can actually sell that tax credit to a Michigan-based business for, I believe, somewhere around 90 cents on the dollar. So either way, a Michigan business is going to benefit from this.
Yeah.
So whether they film here
then
again or not.
Do they end up using like local EBW, stuff like that? Do they use? Yeah.
So IATSE is the film crew union, and they're all over the country. IATSE and also Teamsters as well. The Teamsters,
UAW
drivers,
stuff,
carpenters, everybody. They're all involved with it, and people don't realize filming has such a residual spending effect.
Sure.
So it's not just the filming. It's not just the jobs on the film. It's rental cars. It's the lumber to build the
Restaurants.
sets. It's the, all that stuff.
Nightlife.
Hotels, all that stuff. Tourism, people see stuff on movies and they want to check it out.
Yeah.
Especially people in Detroit when they
Think
see
about 8 Mile, the movie.
Oh, they love it.
I mean, when Raj came to town, he took my car one day and he was gone for hours. And I was like, where did you end up going? He's like, I had to see 8 Mile.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? You wanted to go take pictures of the 8 Mile
I bet he went to Novi.
we did that once with years ago. AJ Styles, he's a WWE wrestler now, but he used to be an independent wrestler with me. And the same thing, he did a show in Detroit. He's like, man, I've always wanted to see that 8 Mile.
Yeah.
So we took him over there. He took pictures with us.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loves it. But
That's
that's the kind of
hilarious.
thing, it brings tourism, it brings attention to your area,
Mm-hmm.
and it brings that residual spending that it's going to bring so many jobs. I mean, just to be like, I work quite a bit, but I'm usually in Chicago, New York, Pittsburgh, stuff like that. I'm very lucky. I get to work, but it would be so cool to be able to work consistently here in my home, sleep in my own bed, be here with people that I work with normally and build those relationships, build this filmmaker community here in Michigan.
Well,
That's what we're
the
trying to do.
Georgia model you're talking about, I'm shocked at how often I see that damn Georgia peach on everything. They
Everything.
must be filming everything
So
in
much,
Georgia.
and it's so bad because the catering there for the 3 shows I worked on was just all fucking gravy and fucking.
What studios did you work at?
I worked at oh gosh, I don't even remember the
Did
city.
you work at the Trilith or whatever in Fayetteville?
Is that oh gosh, what's his name? Who's the guy over there's 2 big studios there. There's Rick Ross's and there's the guy who owns BT. Medea, Tyler Perry.
Oh yeah, Tyler Perry has his own
Big thing. It was
too.
one near there. I think it was like 45 miles outside of Georgia, wherever it was.
Okay, because this one in Fayetteville, there's the Trilith Studios. That's where they do all the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
All the Marvel movies are all done there.
Walking Dead stuff, probably.
All
was
the
that?
Walking Dead is all through Georgia and Virginia and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, there's. I think they did like 60% of the stuff that's being watched on television and movies right now is being filmed in Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia's jumping.
It's
That's
nuts.
where Charles Barkley lives.
Really?
Yeah, he's just hubs there for TNT's there.
Yeah.
Like all this, so a lot of stunt people, they'll move to. There's different hotspots in the country where there's filming a lot of times. So back in 2008 through 12, somewhat, we had a huge boom here. So a lot of stunt guys and actors and stuff were moving here. As soon as Georgia started taking off, everybody lives in Atlanta now, man.
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
around. It's crazy.
Well, I noticed your hat, 5150.
Oh, yeah,
Which I thought, I mean, it's Eddie. Eddie's, that's, what is that, the call for crazy or something? Police call code.
Yeah. No, this is one of the stunt companies that I've been lucky enough to work with. There's different groups. It's not just stunt people, but there's different groups. Like stunt coordinators will have their own groups. Where their own companies, 8711, Action. There's a bunch of them.
So
but
you were
5150 is one of them that
Okay.
I got to work with here in town on a movie that'll be coming out.
Which can we mention what movie that is?
It's a movie that will be on one of the streamers. Yeah, I don't really want to say, but
well,
I mean, you could say about
Well, Beverly Hills Cop. Was that the one?
Yeah, that
Okay,
one's
so
coming up.
there's a new one. Is it going to be good?
I don't know. All I know is what I did.
He was great in it.
Yeah, you were
I
awesome.
Got
So-
to do some stunt driving and stuff like that downtown, which was great.
Where did you learn that?
Well, this, I didn't do any of the crazy like crashes and stuff, but I would do like the, in between the people that are going to be crashing and stuff like that. We do precision driving through them to get out of their way and things like that. But they're not, they'd rather hire stunt people to do that that know how they can react if something goes wrong than just throw anybody in a car.
So what is the
hire-
training level for that? Like seeing guys tumble downstairs and in car crashes and like.
It just all depends. Like a lot of guys have different focuses too on what they're good at. Like my focus, I'm usually a fight guy. So I do, because I used to be a pro wrestler. So I do a lot of fighting scenes and things like that. Basic, thug stuff where I play a prisoner a lot, a biker a lot, so I'm in a lot of fight scenes. And I'll do some ATV stuff and a little bit of motorcycle stuff too. But then you have guys that focus on just driving, where they're elite drivers, whether they're drifters or things like that.
Yeah.
Or you have the
Crazy
guys,
stuff.
Or you have the guys that are just really good at crashing cars too.
Really?
They're specific.
God, that's got to be
guys.
tough.
I've known some of those guys.
Yeah. So there's certain
Yeah,
guys.
they're
in
called
the
women.
industry.
Did you see what I did there?
Yeah.
That was Walters that said that, not me.
Come on, if we don't make people laugh a little bit here, we didn't do our jobs.
Yeah, no, there's
This
guys,
is NPR here, man.
yeah, there are certain guys though in the industry that if you need a guy, all right, this stunt guy is going to get hit by a car. You have like a certain number of guys that you're going to bring in to drive that car that you trust.
Yeah.
So there's guys that specialize in everything. So it really all depends on what you specialize in. But I train in I still train pro wrestlers at the wrestling gym. Sometimes I train Darren McCarty. He's a pro wrestler. And,
Yeah, there you go.
Which is crazy, weird.
You were a stunt double for, I don't think it was Walking Dead, but Beta, the guy that played Beta on.
Ryan Hurst.
God, he was so good in that.
Yeah, he was good. I was bummed that I didn't get to work with him on that, but he actually didn't. He only had a scene where he had a stunt double dressed one time, and unfortunately
For a fight, it was a brutal fight.
Yeah,
though.
but he did the fight. Him and
Daryl.
Him and Norman did a lot of the fight themselves. And
I mean, it was.
I think
It was
the
an
only
ass-kicking
thing
scene.
that he didn't do is where he got thrown into the elevator shaft. I think that was the stunt.
Okay.
Guy, but,
Yeah.
we did a show called Outsiders where I did all of his stuff for a couple of years. But
Yeah.
it would have been fun to work on Walking Dead, but didn't get to work on that one. But it's Walking Dead's a kind of a weird one anyway, man.
Really?
Yeah, just because they've had some issues with stunt guys on that show and stuff like that. So I'd rather just, I'm kind of glad that I just stayed away from the whole situation because some stunt people wouldn't work on it after, there was an accident. One of the stunt guys got killed.
Oh,
in
I
one of
think
the
I remember
seasons.
that.
Yeah, he fell off of a
Cherry picker or
balcony
something.
or something like that and ended up dying. And I got a lot of friends that were really tight with him and still have some bad feelings about that show. So I'm glad that I never took part of it just to stay out of it.
Yeah. So, lastly, and we'll wrap things up here, guys. And again, Chris, you're going to be at Mark Ridley's. If anyone's listening live, wants to go tonight, you got a show at 7 and 9:30.
Yeah.
Something like that. All new stuff for the most part.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
What?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
You look so tired, dude. You want to go to bed,
Go
don't you?
get you a nap.
Yeah, Chris is fading on us. What is the difference between...
420, by the way.
So when I see you go on Tulsa King, I don't think you had a speaking line, but you had prominent camera time on there in one of the scenes, couple of groups going to battle, and it's like, hey, there's our boy, which is really cool. What is the difference in pay between actually spitting out a line, even one line, versus just being kind of in the background and...
Well, it's huge. So if you don't have a line, usually you're a background, you're an extra.
Or featured extra?
Yeah, or featured extra, which is a certain they're a smaller contract for featured, but I was actually on an actual acting contract, so I got the same that I would have had. I could have said 100 words and it wouldn't have.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, I remember hearing that back in the day. There used to be like a rumor that if you said one word, they had to pay you a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny
that
on
was
those
a weird thing.
those shitty sitcoms, which I still love to this day, but like Saved by the Bell, when we were kids, and it was just a cheeseball show. But I know there were feature actors that were in the school all the time, and they never gave him a line.
So those
and it
were-
would be
yeah.
awkward. Like you'd walk by him, you'd say something, the kid wouldn't react really, and then you just move on.
So that's what I was talking about earlier. Those guys that work as extras, they can make a living, because if they get on a show like that, so in New York and Chicago, a lot of them are cops and medical workers, because Chicago has the Chicago PD, Med, all that stuff.
Yeah.
New York has all those, cop shows. So there's always all these extras that play cops and stuff like that, and they're there every day. They're part of the crew, but they never have.
And what
a
can they
line, they're
make a
just
year?
background.
You're talking like 30 grand a year?
I
You're
mean, no,
talking
it all
100
depends on
grand a
how many
year?
days on you are, and so how much overtime. I mean, there's
I
variables.
can base it on, I've done one extra job in my entire life, and it was for a Dave Matthews video, and it was SAG, and I was an extra, and I worked for 12 and a half hours, and at the end of the day, they gave me $80 in cash.
This was 1994,
Well, see,
though.
This is 2003.
Really? Were you happy with that? Did you know you were going to get $83 in
no.
cash or whatever?
Well, see, that's the whole thing, though. That the contracts are different, though, too, because
Yeah.
in New York and LA, the contracts are set up so that they have to use a certain amount of union actors as opposed to non-union actors, and the union actors have to get union and background have to get paid more.
Yeah.
But out of those, like Michigan, there's not really they don't require you, so they can have all the extras. They can have them be non-union.
Yeah.
But so New York and Chicago, or New York and LA, you can't do that. So sometimes you have to have union. So yeah, sometimes you'll get that. I see a lot of them on. They'll be like 8 to 10 hours, and $8 an hour or something like that. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
man.
And lunch.
Now that's
No,
not
they don't.
necessarily.
They do
Don't even
not.
get lunch out of
Really?
it. Son of a bitch.
That's not necessarily where the people are making a living, but bigger areas where there are higher markets, there are background extras that do make a living like that.
So, lastly, I'm curious about, and I keep bringing up Tulsa King because it's the last thing I saw you in, and I don't know where that film. Did that film in Georgia?
I was Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma
That's
State.
right. That's right.
That's where Tulsa is.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. But so you get something like
Dallas
that.
in Chicago. It was crazy.
But you're based in Michigan, and so it's like there's probably a million big guys with a beard and some tattoos that are local Oklahoma guys. So what do they have to fly you out for that? Are you in the area? They put you up in a hotel.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like this one, per contract, if they want you, they have to fly you in. They have to put you up. They have to. That's part of our contracts and everything. And yeah, there might have been, but so what I do is because I don't do like a lot of strictly acting. My stuff is a lot of stunt acting. So
Right.
this particular role, they needed a stunt guy that could also act and who could play the role but also be able to do his own stunts. So
was it a fight scene? Did you guys have a brawl? I'm trying to remember.
big shootout, big shootout with some guns and stuff like that in a bar. But so that was the stunt coordinator. I actually get hired most of the time, not by the director, not even by casting, but directly through the stunt coordinator. The stunt coordinator will find out, they know the role and they know, most of the time they'll know who they want and they'll have a couple of different options. So in this case, this particular one, they needed a guy that was over 6'4". That's a stunt guy that looks big and has a beard. There's two guys that the stunt coordinator, he knows me and he knows this other guy. He showed them both their pictures. Casting director decided they liked me. So he calls me up. Are you available? Yeah, absolutely. He's like, cool. They need you for a month. Are you available? I'm like, absolutely. So then I got the gig, and as opposed to my buddy, it's kind of weird because we were both going for the same roles and stuff like that. But it all depends on the stunt coordinator too. Plus,
it's two guys at a bar fighting over the same girl.
Yeah.
Which one's she gonna pick?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you gonna do?
And so there's certain, there might have been somebody closer, but that stunt coordinator doesn't necessarily know that person, and they don't necessarily trust them to be able. Stunt coordinators, it's all about trust. You got to be able to trust the people you're hiring, and if they don't know you or they don't know somebody that does know you that gives you a good word, they're not necessarily going to hire, especially for stunts. So this just happened to be lucky. People that knew me recommended me and things like that. That's how it's a lot of networking.
We'll go out on this, and I've been thinking about this for a while, especially with the Rust accident that happened, where someone got shot on a set. I'm always wondering, because those shootout scenes in big movies, they look so real. Like, what is going on there? Is it just like they're pretending to shoot something and there's nothing coming out? How does that work on a set?
Every set's different. So I worked on Punisher, where we shot blanks. So I was.
And so it feels like a real gun. You're pulling a trigger, and
they had like blanks. So it'll be like quarter of the charge that it normally have, but it's still, the gun reacts the same way. It still ejects a cartridge, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So when you see the auto fire and it's just
So a lot of times we're just shooting blanks. However, it's gone more and more since that accident, but even more, it's been going. They can do so much with CGI. Yeah, like Tulsa King, I didn't shoot a bullet. Nothing.
Yeah.
Just click, and we're just reacting. They put in everything. The special effects department puts in all the exploding walls behind us and the squibs behind us and things like that. We don't actually. It's not necessary anymore. There's just too many things that can happen, accidents like that.
Yeah.
They don't need to do it anymore. Now they can do it so good with CGI.
It's got to be weird on set though, with a bunch of grown adults running around.
It's
just silent,
just silent as shit.
As long as it all
Laser
depends on the
tag.
performer. Yeah. It just really the performer has to really sell it and be able to do that. And that's a big thing of, like I said, a coordinator's got to be able to trust that you can make it look real and do it safely. So I don't think there's any need to ever have any actual ammo on set anymore. I think we should CGI everything just for the safety.
You do too?
Yeah, I mean, if there was an opportunity for an accident like that again, no one wants that.
Yeah, but that was just ineptitude. That was just like
that was
pure.
Brandon Lee. It was because of it was a blank.
He was murdered though.
We're going to the conspiracies again.
That's a great way to end.
All right, I know. We'll get you out of here, Chris. Good luck tonight. Good luck at the wedding tonight.
Thanks, man.
Jay. Yeah, and thank you guys so much for coming over. I really had no background on this stuff, and I hope it works out for you guys. I mean, you
we
keep us
do
all entertained.
Absolutely.
Like it's very easy to shit on Hollywood and kind of the elitist, snobby attitude of a lot of them, but to really get a full understanding of just how many average everyday Americans that work to make your favorite shows possible, whether they're game shows or reality shows, any of it. And
160,000 members, you probably recognize 10% of them.
If that, probably 2%. It's probably like making the NFL. So, anyways, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Of
Hey,
course,
thanks
man.
for driving me home.
Yeah, I'll give you a ride home. You need a ride home? All right, everybody. Thank you. We'll be there at the late show tonight, Chris. So hopefully you get a little nap in, and
Yeah, that's cool.
we'll go from there. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. We'll be back next week, T and I. So we'll see you then.